My name's Sarah, this is Abby, and welcome to Azul Unlimited. I'm a scuba instructor, and I owned a dive shop in Indonesia until global shutdowns changed the trajectory of my career. I moved into my van out of necessity, but now it's my tool for traveling, teaching, and guiding dive expeditions worldwide. In this series, I'm returning to Indonesia for the first time since leaving, in the hopes of gaining closure around all the loss from that season of my life. Bonk! This SMB is literally taller than me. It doesn't fit in my van. I'm beyond excited to share this video with you guys, but as always, I just want to give you a little reminder that I have other expeditions coming up. The Baja dive expedition is in December. I have a special LGBTQIA+ Baja dive expedition in January, and my collaboration trip with Fins Attached for shark conservation and research is happening in SOCORRO in April 2025. If you want more details on those trips, check them out on my website. Otherwise, let's get into the video. The anticipation of going back to Komodo had me feeling a wide range of emotions. On one side, excitement of diving with my group for the Komodo dive expedition. On the other, complete dread, as if I were going right into the belly of the beast. 3 years ago, I left this place thinking I would never be back. I got on a plane back to the United States with a broken heart and a quote-unquote normal job. But here I am, and I chose to come here. I experienced a lot of extremes while living in Labuan Bajo.
Please do fasten your seatbelts while we're seated, just for safety precaution reasons.
So to say this place is triggering for me is a bit of an understatement. I hit my bottom here, which finally got me sober. I rode the waves of business ownership in a foreign country. I somehow survived the emotional and financial disaster of the onset of the pandemic.
We have landed at Komodo Airport of Labuan Bajo, Nusa Tenggara.
Thinking back on it now feels like a bit of a fever dream. Flying here from Bali or Jakarta is really simple, and the airport is only a 5-minute taxi ride down the hill. In general, Labuan Bajo is getting more popular. I think the oversaturation of Bali is convincing people to check out different parts of Indonesia. I'm back! I've already cried a few times today, and I've literally been in Labuan Bajo for like 15 minutes, and look at this. Like, fancy walkways. I've heard all about the infrastructure changes and everything, but it's like nice. Oh, it's a call to prayer. Hello, I'm interested in diving. Hi, I'm so sweaty. I apologize. Oh my god, it's so good to see you. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Yuven! How are you? It's been a long time. You diving a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah? You dive master now?
Still DMT.
DMT, okay. Very cool. Guys, I'm a total mess. There's so many feelings about being back here. I mean, look how beautiful it is. This is insane. Living here in 2018 through 2020, I struggled so much. I'm in a better place in my sobriety, my life, my work, like relationships, just doing so much better than I ever have. ever. So it's good to be back, and I'm excited to share it with people. I have a couple of days here to get some work done and get organized before everybody arrives. All right, I am sweating all over this thing. I need to get some food, and I'm gonna call it a night because I am toast. I was unprepared for this. With all the changes in town, I assumed my old shop had turned into yet another coffee shop. I spent so many hours in this office building our website and online presence to compete with the well-established dive shops in the area. We opened in April of 2019 and within 8 months pushed our way into the number 3 spot on TripAdvisor. Things were going well, but as a new shop, we were unprepared to survive over 2 years of shutdowns. I'm proud of the work we did here. We created something beautiful back then, and I've worked my butt off to create something different for myself now. And as you've seen, the Indonesian dive shop dream lives on with different owners and some of our old staff at Azul Komodo. And why do people visit Labuan Bajo? It's all about the Komodo National Park. Today's the day, you guys. People are arriving. I'm at the hotel for the Komodo dive expedition, and I'm very, very nervous, but mostly super excited. My group is staying at Siesta Hotel. We're gonna be diving one day on my old boat, Asmara, with Azul Komodo, and then we're gonna go on a 5-night Liveaboard with Uber Scuba, and their boat is named Amalia. Right now, I'm checking in. That's my room right there, and I have little gifts for all of the clients, so I'm gonna go in and set up their rooms before they arrive.
Also this one.
It all smells very clean.
Thank you.
Let's go. I think that's cute. Am I simple? I think that's rather precious. I'm so excited. I'm here with the dive group now, so very happy.
I knew that from Enric.
Yeah. Here's you.
See you again. Yeah.
Thank you. Your hat. Azul Limited. Yeah. Looks good. We can take good care of ourselves. Huh? Siapa?
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Asmara! So the captain is the captain that I had, and he actually helped build this boat.
Oh,
So
wow.
we designed it and built it to make sure that he was comfortable living on it, because the crew lives on this boat. And lives here. Yeah. Actually, the young man who was right next to him, that's his son. I freaked out when I saw him because he was like this big last time, and he's like way up here now. It's crazy. Sailing into the Komodo National Park made my soul happy. And being here on this boat, seeing old friends, was one of the best feelings in the world. There are very few things in my life that I'm attached to, but Asmara and the dream she represented have a special place in my heart. I'm grateful for the care the owners have put into the boat and shop, making it their own. This is Melissa. She and her business partner Simon own Azul Komodo, and we support one another's endeavors. Aitor is their course director and visits often to teach instructor development courses. It'll be exciting to follow their business development, especially as they get into the Liveaboard world with a new boat, which will be joining Asmara in Labuan Bajo very soon. Komodo's claim to fame are the Komodo dragons, the beautiful reefs, and of course, the strong currents. A couple of divers in my group expressed anxiety about currents, and their fear is not without its roots in reality. Here you can see Batu Bolong, one of the most iconic dive sites in the Komodo National Park. It's also the place where I've had some of the most challenging experiences in the ocean. My very first day of diving here was actually one of the hardest. It was 2018, and my business partners and I were visiting Labuan Bajo to see if we wanted to set up shop here. One of my business partners was Aitor, who you've seen on this channel, and the two of us had been traveling around the Philippines, but something about Indonesia piqued our interest, so we set out for a quick visit. We jumped on board a friend's boat and went out for my first day of diving in strong current. Despite better judgment, I was convinced to dive the split at Batu Bolong for the third dive. It was me and 3 boys who seemed pumped up at the thought of adventure. We jumped on the unprotected side of the rock, right into the current, while the rest of the divers looked on, preparing for their own, more relaxed dive on the protected side. It was a negative entry right down to our maximum depth, where we got a show of sharks. It was quite incredible, but in the back of my mind, I was just thinking about how the heck are we going to get around this rock? As we approached our limits, we had to make moves. Before reaching the back heading at the side of the rock, we hooked in and got organized. Diver number 1 would whip around the corner to the protected side, followed by diver number 2, then number 3, which was me, then number 4, which was Aitor. Mind you, all of this was happening while current was ripping past our faces, practically taking my mask with it. Diver number 1 disappeared from sight. Diver number 2 disappeared. And then it was my turn. I couldn't move. Aitor saw me freeze, and after countless dives together, knew what to do. He jumped ahead of me in line, told me I had to follow, and he let go, disappearing into the current. So, away I went. The current ripped me up toward the surface, and I compensated by releasing air in my BCD and swimming down. Then I had to kick across the current to stay close to the rock. Suddenly, I was on the other side. It was a totally different world over there. The other divers were hanging out, taking pictures. Everybody was calm. I took some deep breaths to steady my nerves, cursing myself for giving into peer pressure and doing such a wild dive.
Gorgeous!
That was one day of many lessons the Komodo National Park has graciously gifted me. In many places, the currents are consistent, predictable, even relaxing once you know how to dive them. Other places, the currents make 0 sense. One moment you could experience the ocean trying to birth you up to the surface, the next pull you down to its depths. Mother Nature is in control each and every time we jump in the water. One good pummeling in a current or surge is all it takes to fully understand the risks we take in participating in this sport. My next video will be about how to prepare for diving in current when you have zero experience. So if that would be helpful for you, stick around. Selamat pagi!
Selamat pagi!
You guys are awesome! Hi!
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you! How are you? Can I get up? Joining a liveaboard is very different from day trips for scuba diving. You get a bed on board, and life quickly turns into a routine of eat, dive, and sleep. Beautiful! Thank you so much. This was actually my first longer liveaboard trip. About 10 years ago, I did a weekend trip around Catalina, that's in California, and since then it's been nothing but day trips and shore diving. Liveaboards are inherently more expensive, but they're also worth the money for the experience and the amount of diving you do. Here in Komodo, you not only get away from the noise of Labuan Bajo, but you get to check out popular dive sites on a different schedule, which opens up dawn diving and night diving. We did a lot of diving on this trip, so it was inevitable that we'd have a hairy moment or two in and out of the water. The great thing about traveling in a group is the support and camaraderie you build in your dive team during the trip. Now, I won't share the stories of how these moments in the water made other divers feel, but I will say that it is very common to have people cry on boats in Komodo. The currents can be overwhelming and scary, but something I love about this place is the opportunity for growth. We can work through the big feelings, talk about what happened, give tips, and get back out there. Although a couple of the dives were intense, our group actually had the most issues on the boat. We unfortunately had a couple of small accidents during this trip. I go into details about them in a Patreon video, but the biggest takeaways are these. Be careful walking around boats with heavy gear, or better yet, ask for help moving the gear. Brace yourself in choppy water, and don't go too hard with your favorite dance moves. Also, it's worth the time and money to get properly trained in rescue response. In the situations on board, I have to say that diving side mount actually gave me an advantage in response time. While everyone else was kitted up with a tank on their back, I was only in my harness and could move quickly to help the divers in need. The night dives were a special treat for me because I have never done one in the Komodo National Park. Day trip boats don't do night dives because of the long passage back to Labuan Bajo. However, back in 2019, my business partners and I did test out doing blackwater dives outside of the national park to see if they could be a viable experience to share with people. We only got to go out a couple of times before the country closed, so the idea never took off, but they were super cool dives. If you don't know what blackwater diving is, check out my incredibly old video linked in the description below. I'm coming. Padar Island is probably one of the most photographed locations in the Komodo National Park. And yes, it is worth the sweaty effort to reach the top for sunset.
Yeah, we did it. Laka.
Dive site, check very well.
Dive planning in a place with strong currents can be confusing for people. Sometimes you make all the plans, but when you check the current, you realize the plan isn't going to work.
Break it down. That's the karaoke. Wish I could be part of your world.
Sometimes you look at the tide charts, make a plan, and everything goes perfectly. Then there are other dives where everything seems to be going according to the plan, but conditions change and the guide has to make decisions. As a dive guide, you have to think on your feet. Where is it safe? And how do I explain dive plan changes to my group? Some divers have a hard time with adjusting the plan on the fly. Diving in places like Komodo is a lesson in letting go of expectations, being present, and enjoying what's in front of you. If the dive plan was to go around the rock, but it's not possible, now we're looking for small stuff in the protected area of the dive site. If the current is coming from every direction, now we're staying put, or maybe slowly making progress in one direction. And we're just taking in the sensation of the current until we abort or finish the dive. The goal is to enjoy the ride, but you should also feel empowered to cancel the dive if the conditions are overwhelming.
The trekking, we have some rules, some regulation over here. Please don't separate for your group or stay together.
Seeing these epic lizards tops bucket lists for a reason. You can visit them on Komodo and Rincha Islands in the national park, and as we found out, the tour is accessible for people in wheelchairs too.
You're off-roading, Militia.
Although they are huge and seem stiff, these reptiles are quick, moving their average body size of 150 pounds to a full sprint of around 12 miles per hour. Komodo dragons have an acute sense of smell, and as opportunistic scavengers, can locate food over 5 kilometers away.
He's like, I'm good. I'm chill.
Please.
Then all of a sudden he's gonna jump up and attack all of us.
Okay.
With their speed, they are also more than capable of taking down a fellow lizard, goat, deer, or wild boar, among many other animals. The pink color comes from coral, which means the sand is alive. Microscopic animals live on the coral, making the coral red, and as pieces break apart to mix with the white sand, it creates these beautiful pink beaches. It's pink, but not as pink as you've probably seen online. People oversaturate photos like crazy, but I think it's beautiful as is.
This is how you bring in a drone.
Party without music.
You guys are crazy. Hey. Oh, no. I think I missed it.
Sure. When nature's against you sometimes.
Then there are those perfect days when conditions are in your favor and you see the bucket list creature everyone was hoping for. Manta ray season usually runs from the end of November to the beginning of April, with random sightings throughout the year. I told everyone that it was unlikely we would see them in June, but we crossed our fingers, and we did get a quick sighting at Makassar Reef. If you want to experience manta-filled dives during your visit, and you don't mind lower visibility, March is usually insane. Plus, there's the added benefit that there aren't as many people visiting during that time.
Yeah.
We saved some of the best spots for last, Komodo North. The dive sites here can be more challenging, combining deep diving with strong currents. But diving with this group day in and day out for a week allowed for a lot of skill development, so we were prepared. Seeing people get more confident in the water made my little instructor heart dance. Hands down, the funniest moment of the trip, and I didn't catch it on camera, was while flying in the cauldron. The cauldron is located between two islands where the current gets channeled through the bowl-shaped namesake and rips people out through a spot called the shotgun. It sounds a lot more dramatic than it actually is. We deflated as we approached the shotgun, which takes you from about 16 meters up to 6 meters in one fell swoop. Once we reached the ledge, we hooked in with the strong current ripping around us, taking in the view. When it was time to go, I told the diver to unhook and follow the group. She shook her head at me, saying no, and I had an immediate flashback to me on that dive in 2018. I could hear what was going on in her head. I live here now, leave me be, and it made me chuckle. But obviously I didn't leave her there. We let go, and everything was totally fine. That spot isn't like Batu Belong. There were no up or down currents, just a strong, consistent current we had to cross in order to reach the end location, a calm, protected coral garden. It was one of those dives that really brings a dive team together, and I'm so proud of how people handled themselves.
Watch those hips, man. Watch those hips. Yeah, butt pouch. Yeah, butt pouch. Yeah.
Our last dives in the north were Crystal Rock and Castle Rock, two pinnacles unique in the area because the topography allows for safer diving in the split, unlike my Batu Belong story from earlier. The goal of these types of dives is pelagic sightings, mostly white tip and gray reef sharks. These dive sites can be some of the most challenging to guide because of navigation and keeping the group together. You take a compass reference toward the dive site, jump into the blue and descend, paying attention to the fish to determine where the current is splitting against the rock. In all of that, your group has to stay together. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and you have to cancel the dive to regroup at the surface, which is why it's so important to have an SMB with you at all times. Luckily, our dives didn't end that way.
Welcome to dry season in Komodo.
The last dive of the trip was pure joy. I felt light as we drifted through one of my favorite dive sites to Tawa Besar.
So huge.
That should do it.
Yeah. Cool.
Like the monolith of the sea.
Yeah. Bonk. Bonk. There it is. Yeah.
People kept asking me if I will be running another Komodo dive expedition. And my answer at this point is not anytime soon. I am grateful for this place and this experience, but I have other plans for the next couple of years. Indonesia is far away from my home base, and these days I'm much more interested in slow travel with my dog, especially since she's 13. That said, I'll leave a window of possibility open for a future Komodo dive expedition, if people show interest in it.
Damn it.
Do what you were doing before.
Do that again.
Yeah, do that again. She probably can't even hear it.
Now you gotta put both arms out. You gotta be like Titanic. Yes. Perfect.
She's literally playing Titanic. I'm so embarrassed.
Of course you are. That's why we're doing it.
Oh, you go on. What happened? Across the distance. Here, let me show you how to
It's a flossing kind of trip. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on this walk down memory lane. If you want more from the Azul Unlimited community, you can join Patreon. And if you want to experience a group trip, check out my upcoming locations and dates on my website. Okay, love you. Bye.